Welcome to Aaron Plays. This will be episode 13 of my playthrough of Nemesis, Burma 1944 by Legion Wargames, designed by Kim Ganger. And yes, I've shifted to Vassal to record the progress of this game. I transferred all the pieces from my actual physical game onto the Vassal screen. Why, I hear you ask, why? Well, table space, essentially. Keeping the game set up for any long period of time. Yes, it's only one mapper, but still, I was wanting to use the table for other games. And also, I can focus more on certain areas of the map with this. I can zoom in, zoom out, which was difficult with the equipment I have camera-wise. So, also shows Vassal off to people who don't use the program that often, and I encourage them to do so, to find other players out there. Even if they're in different parts of the world, you can now play them with Vassal. I know Vassal's been going for quite a while, but it does seem to be a lot of players that are reluctant to delve into it. So maybe this will encourage them to do so if they haven't done so already. But where were we up to? Okay, so this is, as I say, episode 13. We are in turn 2. We had completed in the last video the Allied assault ship. We know therefore the Allies, their last ship will be their supply. And with the Japanese, who've already had their supply, they've had their attack, their reinforcements. So we know that this ship here will be their assault ship. So the Japanese currently are in the lead. Hirohito's marker is in the 7th spot, whereas Mr. Churchill, he's in the 6th. Remembering that one of the ways victory is determined is if your leader is in the 9 and your opponent's in the 0. So it's slightly pro-Japanese at the present moment, but not decisively so. Okay. So the Japanese assault ship, that means they can move up to their movement allowance and stretch. But when they attack, they can only attack from 1 hex. However, with a vast, well, I won't say majority, with a vast minority of their forces out of supply, the Japanese attack is lacking a bit of teeth in the central sector here. And they've also just taken a little bit of a pounding in and around this town. Well, definitely an advantage of the Vassal, as you can see, just being able to click, move all the pieces, place them all back. So with that in mind, though, the Japanese do need to continue their attacks. So we'll be pushing in the south here and getting as large a strike as possible, probably on this hex here. So before we concentrate on the attacks down here, we've got to look at the supply situation. Supply depot being from this hex here, 5 movement points. We'll take it from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Remember, the supply is flown or thrown forward from the supply depots. You don't trace back in this system. That actually means that this hex is currently out of supply. We don't have to worry about supply state at the precise moment. We've got to think how to get this hex back in supply. Now, currently, we have obviously the HQ here, which supplies into this hex, which then supplies into this hex. So that hex is in supply, but that is not. Okay, so can this be stretched any further? Okay, so we're going to change this a little bit. We're going to move this, these two actually, into there, into the cliffs, and the HQ to here. So this should now give me a supply. So it'll be 1, 2, 5 movement points into that HQ, 4 into the cliff. We can always go supply 1 hex, and then from that 1 hex there. However, that puts these troops, which are currently out of supply, but that means they'll be out of supply next turn. So they'll be throwing it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which is too much for the range of 5. And from here, from the HQ, so these guys have got to fall back to there. Okay. Which will then put them 1, 2, 3 back in supply when the supply is again determined. We are at stacking limit in this hex. If you look, if I hover over there, there's 2 large units and 2 small units. I can't bring, there is another infantry unit under here, which I can't bring into there, even though it would be able to combine with the other infantry unit. The regiment can only combine at the end of the phase, which will therefore mean it's overstacked currently. I could remove one of those engineer units, which might be an idea. Yeah, okay. So let's remove the engineer and place back in that infantry. That engineer, do we want to move any further? It's not going to help along this area. So 1, 2, 3, 4. There was no zone of control in there, so they could actually, with a stretch move, one, 2, 3. Just check back on that allied unit here. Unit underneath does have a zone of control into that hex. Therefore, the engineer couldn't do stretch movement. So it would have been 1, 2, 3, 4 to there. Okay, so I think that's pretty much the movement for the 33rd Division. Now, what to do about this situation here? I can't see there being any attacks in this area, but definite reinforcement. So, we take this unit, you look using along the path, show that path. Okay, so the path goes all the way through by Satang and Palel. So I can zoom in a little bit there. So that'll be 1, 2, 3. Remember, light troops on pass only cost them 1 unless it's a heavy monsoon. So that's 3. Now, even though there's a zone of control from the infantry unit there into this hill, that stops them doing operational stretch movement. It doesn't stop them. That's all the effect of the zone of control has. So he can go in there for his 4th movement point. And we will actually send in a battalion in there as well. Okay. So should we move the artillery up in support? Okay, how far can this regiment get? 1, 2, 3, 4. Can only get to there. We need something in here. These INA units, Indian National Army, it's that troop quality which is a little bit on the weak side. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and then we'll stick them with a frontline battalion in there. Okay. So looking at the supply situation, they're getting their supply from here. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. There. The HQ then spreads it to this unit, which can then supply these. It's tenuous. Okay, moving the artillery up. Why is that artillery unit a different shade, I hear you ask? That's because it was not actually in the vassal module. I had to make that counter myself from the original game. Missing in the vassal module. There's definitely nothing offensive here going on. Just a case of getting the troops up. So that is a path through the mountains. We have one large motorized unit on there, and I think that's the stacking limit. With regards to, so I don't believe I can get any tanks down that path as yet because of the artillery. So okay. Now this army HQ could extend the range there, so I want him to be brought up. 1, 2, 4 when it's required. Right. Nothing too offensive in that area. Okay, so over to (31st Division). Where are all their regiments? And are they going to mount any attacks? Again, they're getting supply. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the HQ. These guys directly. 1, 2, 3, 4. Doesn't seem to be much offensive drive here either. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now the Allies have got enough strength to stop most of these. Okay, let's put a battalion in there. Artillery. movement down into there will be let's just 2 because it's rough. 2, 3 to there on the path. I think he's got to take a step back. Right. Okay, so that's the end of their movement. Okay, so the situation in and around where the Chindits are. Okay, the supply situation here for the Japanese is that they're getting it from this hex here, which can supply up to 3 movement points from there, which would be 1, 2, all the way up to here along that road/railroad. As long as they stay on that road/railroad. Now, I'm going to send this battalion back to the front. So that can do operational stretch. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think they would like to clear this hex, being that is quite a good supply source. We can bring this unit out, and we can only accept from 1 hex. It needs to be brought up. Bring this battalion back. So that's a regiment, not a battalion. No, actually that's overstacked. Thanks to that garrison. Let's go into here then. My supply can always be thrown 1 hex. So the supply is being thrown from that hex to there. Actually, that's not strictly true again, is it? This hex, well, we're not worried about supply at the present moment. Okay, interesting. Notice this is a slightly paler blue. This actually only becomes a supply source if there is a monsoon by that river there. So they're getting their supply still from this hex, which would be 1, 2. So they would be out of supply if they don't advance there. Bit of a gamble, but maybe it was necessary. Right, what's happening up here? I think we're going to fall back 1 hex. Okay, and against these guys, we're maintaining the minimum garrison. These will be 8 steps. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we can spare this unit. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you can go further. Operational stretch, 1, 2. You can't enter a zone of control, which this unit has into there. Actual fact, we might leave him there as a garrison. With regard to the other units, I think they're quite happy where they are. That ends the movement portion of the Japanese. Now the attacks. Remember, there are 3 attacks. They can only attack from one hex to another. So here, over on this side, they would have an attack strength of 9, plus 4 for the infantry, 13, plus another 5 is 18 to 14. So that'll be a 1-to-1. They've got 8 strength points of support. They've got 9, 10, and 12. So they've gained 1 for the support. But it would cost them a lament because the support would be a heavy contribution from both sides. That's potentially 1 attack. I can't see anything in this area. And here, potentially, yeah, 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, attacking 4. I think that might be the first one to go in. 9 attacking 4. Yeah. Bring the combat results table up, make that easier to see. So 9 attacking 4 would be 2-to-1. The quality is 3-to-2. We'll make it up 1 column. The terrain brings it back a column. And support-wise, they have got artillery support. Just remembering the Japanese have not committed their air unit. They will there. Now it's got a strength of 3. So bringing that up into the situation. So that again will be now 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 points to 4, which is 3-to-1. You get 1 for the support, 1 column, 1 for the quality, and then down 1 for the mountains. So the attack ends up on the 5-to-1. Here's the roll with a 2. 0-R. Okay. And enemy general adds 1 satisfaction point. Okay, so let's do the satisfaction point first. Rubbish attack. Slim's happy about that. 0-R. Oh, just fall back there. And the Japanese will advance. Why not? Okay, so remember they only have 3 attacks. That's definitely 1. Air Force now used. Next attack going in will be against Jindits. The attack strength is 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 to 3. 16 to 3. 5-to-1. Now see any other modifiers. Both qualities are 3. They have got support with the engineers. And it's only rough terrain, which gives no defense. So it's a 7-to-1 column. Here goes. Rubbish die rolls from the Japanese. Slim is loving this. Gets another satisfaction point. Okay, so the results 7-to-1, sorry, with a 1, 0R. Stay or go? Okay, fall back. Japanese were advancing. That means they've recaptured that. Retaking this, remove that flag, and Hito. Oh, this guy gets 1 satisfaction point for doing that, which is half that 2 value there. Because they've recaptured it, you only get half the value if you recapture. Okay, so that's the second attack. Nothing happening up there. So we go back to this attack here. Six and 8 is 14. 8 is be a 1-to-1 attack. Qualities are the same. 1-to-1 attack. Is that worth doing? Considering the die roll so far, 1-to-1. There's only really 2 retreat results. Do we wait for the actual assault attack phase when both axes can attack? I think so. I think force preservation. So there's no further attack. So the next thing I'm going to do is where they actually have stacking within it's the end of this phase. Flip that over and remove that battalion back to the battalions box. A couple of stacks like that. Okay, was there anywhere else? Oh, yes. There's 3 battalions there. I'm going to change them into their regiment. Flip that over. Okay, is there anywhere else? Yep, here. That over. The battalion. There we go. Anywhere else? No. No. I think we're all good. Okay, so that would end the Japanese chit. So that just leaves next allied chit. So that's what is unmoved. We know this one is the Allied supply check, which we'll do now. Okay, so supply. Okay, so the main Allied supply on the far western side of the map is down that road. Okay, which goes all the way down to here. Actually remove. So from Dimpur, it's got a range of 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4 gets it down to Imphala, which has a range of 0. Interesting. Oh, nearly forgot a major rule there. That's a problem we haven't played for a couple of weeks. Okay, so if you're on the road from a supply source, supply entry hex, which this is, any unit on that road that's linked to that, and there's no enemy zones of control or anything in the way, are automatically in supply. So going back on that, I thought something seriously messed up there. So from that hex there, anything that's on that road, so this unit, all these, okay, down to here, are in supply because they're on the road. On a road or track, not just path, and is able to trace supply from a friendly supply entry hex. This route may be of any length, but must follow roads and or tracks only. So this unit here is in supply because it's on a track. And on a track which link back to this road over here. So it's that unit and that unit are in supply. So that leaves us with this unit. The Allied HQ is in this hex here, and he can extend the range by 5. So that would be 1, 2, 2.5, 3, 4, 5.5 in there. He's out of supply. So even though he's adjacent to the road, he's not on the road. He is out of supply. Okay. These are all okay. This one. These guys in the mountains. So the HQ is here, so it's 5. So it's 1 movement point to there, and then 5 into there. So they're okay. He's okay. These guys are on a path. Path is not good enough, so 1, 2, 3 along the path. So the path allows you to trace the supply, but you're not in supply directly from the entry hex along it, but those are okay. So you have 1 Allied unit out of supply over here. So with that in mind, we can drop air supply to him? Air supply, but I think it's going to be dropped on, from memory, onto roads. Let's have a look. The answer is no, it's got to be a road or track to actually get that airdrop in. So he will remain out of supply. Right, over to here. Most of these chindits are, okay, just remove that. So he's on an airfield. These guys are on an airfield. And with them being on an airfield, they're airfield's function as supply entry hex, including any Japanese airfield, Allied control, but an airfield can only provide limited supply. So hence they're in limited supply in that hex and that hex. Now, these guys here, they have a few other issues. We can only supply those hexes. This guy's in the jungle. He's off the road now on track. Even that hex is clear. Can't make an airdrop to it. Make an airdrop to here, which we will. Keeps him in supply or limited supply, but not this guy. So he's now out of supply, and so is this one. Okay. It's not good. Right, these chaps. So again, supply entry hex, that's fine. So these guys are on supply entry hex. And the HQ can feed those two hexes. This guy here, 3 movement points, which would be 1, 2, 3. So they're all okay. And Yunnan forces haven't moved at all, so they're all okay as well. Right, well, that's the Allied supply chit. This Allied unit doesn't suffer any attrition as yet because he's quality 3. He will suffer attrition if he's still out of supply next time the chit is drawn. So that, let's say, concludes the last phase of the turn. So just got the end of turn sequence things to do. Right, control. As if an unoccupied friendly control objective at this moment is unable to trace supply, able to trace enemy supply, and the opponent may choose to make it enemy controlled. I don't think that really applies because we've got most of the control already marked. Yeah. Okay. So, attrition check. Okay, so this is now, if any unit of quality 2 had an out of supply marker on it, they would take an attrition check. All these out of supply guys. Right, it was only actually the artillery unit that was out of supply there. Should be careful of that kind of thing. Put the supply marker. Right. I think we look all okay. No attrition. No. There's no ambush marks on the board. Air supports. Right, so it all goes back to available. Right, now we have the superior rolls. So, step 5, it says, try to make your superior happy. You roll a die and compare the result with your general's position on its track. Side with the lowest superior rolls first. If equal, the allied player rolls first. If you roll equal to or less than the general's position, then advance your superior 1 slot. Okay, so I must admit, I do find this a little, I mean, my superior is in the 6th space. Well, I know I did this wrong at the end of last term. Now reading it carefully. Okay, so I'm rolling a dice for the general rating. Okay, and so the allied rolls side with the lowest superior rolls first. So the superior is this guy, the general is this guy. So general, superior. So Churchill's in here, so he's the superior, Slim's the general. So currently Hirohito is on the 7, Churchill's on the 6, so the allies will roll first, but we're comparing it to where Slim is. Slim's on the 2, so 1 or a 2 would be useful here for Slim. 4. So it says roll a die and compare the result with your general's position on its track. He's on the 2. So with those superior rolls first, hence what they are. If equal, right, if you roll equal to or less than the general's position, then advance your superior at 1 slot. We didn't roll equal to or less. So let's compare the Japanese. He's in the 1 slot, so they need a 1. They roll a 1. All right. If you roll equal to or less than the general's position, then advance your superior 1 slot. As they made that roll, he's advanced 1 slot. If you roll higher than nothing happens. All right. If you roll higher than nothing happens, end the game immediately if either side is 1 according to 2.3, which if not, then both players reset their generals back to 0. So the generals go back to 0. I missed that. I say last time I was rolling on their ratings, but no matter. Step B of keeping people happy, advance your lament marker an equal number of slots to the number of enemy flags on the map, but no more than 5 slots. Then advance your lament marker an extra 3 slots for each objective with a yellow star. Okay, so the Japanese have got, if we actually remove, okay, there's not that many places with a yellow star, so there's 1 there, so, you know, and Khmer haven't fallen. All right, but actual Japanese flags, there is 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the Allied lament goes up by 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that drops Churchill down another rating. Okay, reverse your superior 1 slot for each lament mark passes 9, which we just did. We know the Allies have got one marker there. So that increases their lament by 1. Okay, so that's that phase done. Victory? No. Right. If you just play game turn 10 and neither side has won yet, the game will end now. Either side of the highest superior is the winner. Both periods are on the same number is a draw. If the game did not end due to the victory and you have not yet played all 10 turns, then proceed with the following. Right. If Hirohito is higher than Churchill, which he is, he's on 8, Churchill is on 5, then the Allied player advances the resource marker an equal number to the difference between the two superiors. So the Allies get 3 resources. Remove flags in excess of 5. If it was a support turn, it was a support turn, but the Japanese only have 5. Okay. And we then go into turn 3. Last part I want to do for this video. Okay, so the Japanese assault chit and the Allied supply chit can't go in the cup yet. As I say, I'm playing this solo, obviously, and the one thing that I'm doing, which is different from the printed game, is I am randomly determining which of these 3 chits for each side will be drawn. So I'll place these in the cup. The reason why these 2 chits aren't, because you can't have the same chit drawn twice in a row. So I'll put all these 3 into the cup. Okay, I will then draw the Japanese chit, which will be their attack chit. The assault chit goes in there, so that's now randomly shuffled. And obviously, I don't draw the Allied chit just yet. Once I do, when it's done, I'm ready to go. Well, that's where I'm going to end this video at this point. So thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed the new format with me doing it by the Vassal module. As always, like the video if you enjoyed it. Every like helps the channel. Comments always appreciated, and if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the channel and let other people's friends, family, loved ones know about it as well. Until next time, bye.